welcome to This Is Now. After over a month of waiting and wondering what's left, Lahaina families are being allowed back to their properties.
Yeah, residents are re-entering in phases in what's expected to be a lengthy process. The first residents to be allowed back to their property is Zone 1C. That's mostly along Kaniau Road. This is in the west part of town, very close to the Civic Center. Now, that includes around 24 addresses, and according to census data, somewhere between 75 to 100 people. That gives you an idea of how long this process will take for other residents who are still waiting. We spoke to Daryl Oliveira, the administrator of the Maui Emergency Management Agency, over the weekend. He was at the Lahaina Civic Center as some of those residents showed up to get their passes to re-enter. It's been a heavy weekend for so many people in West Maui, but an important first step in coming back from an unimaginable tragedy.
Talking to the staff, they had a couple of emotional moments, especially for someone, older, showing up with family member that has some mobility challenges, and just being concerned that they want to get their insurance representative onto their property so they can maybe get a claim closed and maybe get some financial assistance. I think that's the common type of scenario that they've experienced this morning, just people who are just struggling and want to get some closure, not just that emotional closure, but maybe financial closure with their insurance.
We also spoke to Maui Mayor Richard Bisson after a community meeting on Friday. He said the timeline for reentry was shortened because of federal support. Agencies like the EPA added extra teams to clear properties more quickly. After the EPA's work is finished, the Army Corps of Engineers will come in to complete debris removal. But still, after all that, the county has to assess the infrastructure in Lahaina, sewer, water, and power for some neighborhoods.
Now, so many families have eagerly awaited their opportunity to get back into their properties in Lahaina. Our Casey Lunn has an emotional interview with one of those families.
And that first zone where residents will be able to re-enter, just behind us here, Kaniau and Ainakea, that's the cross street that we're at where so many homes were lost. And we want to be respectful to those that are heading back to their properties today, but we also want to share what they're going through and see what is needed moving forward in this long process of healing. So I want to introduce Noreen Wales with us and Tani Katayama. You built your home here in Lahaina, just in this first zone. I just want to ask you, I know it's a difficult question, how are you doing and how are you handling today as you get ready to head back in?
Well, this is the first time I'm going to see it, so it's pretty bad. After so many years of living here, I just can't say anything. Sorry.
I'm so sorry for everything that you've gone through, and I know that today is going to be a real challenge, but I know that you have your ohana, your granddaughter, Tani is here, and a lot of support from the community. Tani, how are you guys trying to stand behind Grandma, the rest of the family, and be strong? This is a painful day, but an important one, I imagine.
It really is. I think we need this day. I think we need a little bit of not just closure, but it's so unreal to see, and we've driven past it and we've seen it on the news, but I think you really need to we need to see it in person. We need to go and stand on our property and see what's left and process that.
Is there anything that you want folks that live in Maui, around the world, whether or not they're planning to come here, what do you want people to know about what you've been through, what your family's been through, and what this community has been through?
It's a lot. I mean, it's hard to process. I think a lot of us feel like this was preventable, and it's unfortunate that it even happened. And a lot of us are sad, and a lot of us, like myself, we're angry. And we're trying to process the best way, and we're trying to be positive. And I think that's the only way, to move forward.
Now that all of this has happened and we are trying to move forward, is there anything that these folks, the county, the federal government can do better to support your grandma, to support your family as you try and at least begin to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, just support us. I mean, I feel like support hasn't been in the right places, you know, and she built her home and she created a foundation for us to be able to afford to live here with that property, with that home. And now that it's gone, it's hard to imagine, you know, a life here. We will rebuild, and I feel like just support us. Like, there's not enough support for the people that live here, you know, for the Hawaiians that are here, for our generations and generations. Like, support us. You're trying to, and I get it, there's a balance there. We survive on tourism, and I get that, but we should be the priority. You know, we live here. We've been here.
I absolutely agree. And Noreen, I imagine it brings you a little peace just to have your family with you here today. And is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I'm just thankful for my family, that we were all safe. Losing the house was one thing, but surviving was the most important thing.
Noreen, thank you so much. I know you guys have a big day. Mahalo to you both for sharing your story and being here with us to let people know what's going on and what's still needed. I appreciate that so very much. And I'll let you guys get on with your day. I know it's going to be a really heavy one. So again, that is just that first zone that folks are going back into today. They'll be opening up other parts of Lahaina in the coming weeks, and they'll certainly let folks know as those properties get cleared. For now, we'll send things back over to Oahu.
And stay tuned tomorrow for another major announcement. State and federal officials will discuss plans for a school to temporarily replace King Kamehameha III Elementary, which was destroyed in the August 8th inferno. They're expected to talk about the process for reopening the other Lahaina schools as well. That happens tomorrow at 10 a.m., and we'll be sure to bring it to you live right here on Hawaii News Now.
Meanwhile, 6 more victims have been identified, including a child. Those now confirmed lost in the fire are 61-year-old Michael Morin-Ho, 35-year-old Edio Midi Pavian Castillo, 84-year-old Alfred Rawlings, 62-year-old Terry Thomas, 51-year-old Maria Victoria Recolizado, and the child killed has been identified as 11-year-old Justin Recolizado. All were Lahaina residents. The death toll remains at 97. MPD has been able to identify all but 8 of the victims.
Now to some other news around Hawaii. There was a grisly discovery in Waikiki as a body was found in a grassy median on Kalakaua Avenue. The body of the 52-year-old man was found around 6:30 last night, just past the turnoff for Montserrat. Emergency crews attempted to resuscitate him, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. A portion of Kalakaua was closed for the investigation, but it has since been reopened. The case has been classified as an unattended death.
Still no arrest in that shooting at Waianae Boat Harbor that left 2 people dead and 2 others hurt. Police still consider the gunman armed and dangerous. Now, it happened just before 1 a.m. Saturday, and we're told it started with an argument. A 19-year-old and a 29-year-old man died. An 18-year-old man and a 21-year-old woman are hospitalized. Now, police say the suspect took off in a dark-colored vehicle. Anyone with information about the shooting should call Crime Stoppers at 955-8300. A man is dead after an officer-involved shooting in Puna. It started late Friday night as police responded to a fight between 2 brothers in the Orchid Land Estates subdivision. One of the brothers, who was reportedly armed and had an active arrest warrant, ran away. The man was found at a Hawaiian Paradise Park home at around 2:30 Sunday afternoon. We're told he tried running again. Officers called out for him to stop, and he reportedly fired a handgun toward them. Police say officers returned fire, killing him.
A visitor from California died after falling 120 feet below the Waipo'o Falls Trail on Kauai over the weekend. Police identified him as 66-year-old Mark DeBar. Foul play is not suspected in this incident.
It's been 15 years since a Big Island mother went missing, and although so much time has passed, her loved ones aren't giving up hope. Jolani Martinez has their renewed call for help.
There's just no right feeling on a day like today. There's not a day that goes by where Kawehi Moku isn't thinking of her eldest sister, Marlo Moku. September 23, 2008 was the last time she heard Marlo's voice.
She was somebody that I looked up to. She was really, really like a second mom. When I couldn't approach my mom or my dad, she was the one that I would go to. Her smile, her personality, everything was just so radiant about her.
Marlo may have gone to the 7-Eleven on Kaumana Drive to buy cigarettes, but it's a mystery what happened after that. 2 weeks later, her car was found at the bottom of a steep cliff in Hakalau. Hawaii police say there was no sign of foul play, and her disappearance is still a missing persons case.
In a comprehensive review of the investigation, mechanical inspection of the vehicle was done by experts. Review of all of her cell phone records, tower location, and there is no indication of any foul play at this point. We still want to stay positive and hope for the very best. And ultimately, the best outcome at this point would for her to be located. But outside of that, any type of closure that we can get for the family would definitely be important to them, but also to us.
Marlo was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at a younger age, but her family says she was getting treatment every 2 weeks.
I think everybody at some point is feeling like, what possibly could we have done to prevent this from happening?
Marlo is a mother of 3. Her 49th birthday is coming up in December. 2 of her young grandkids carry her name. Her sister and children will never stop keeping her memory and name alive.
They talk about her, they wish she was here. And I think, and everything that they do, they strive to make her proud. Even if she's not physically here, she's somewhere in this realm. And they truly believe, and we truly believe, that she's always amongst us, spiritually.
In national news, the man who shot and killed 23 people at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, has agreed to pay millions of dollars in restitution. According to court filings, Patrick Crucius will pay more than $5.5 million to claimants in the federal case. The document identifying the claimants was sealed. He pleaded guilty to 90 federal charges, including hate crimes, earlier this year. He has since been sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences. The 2019 shooting also wounded 22 others and is one of the deadliest attacks on Latinos in U.S. history. He is still facing state charges over the shooting, and prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Looking to Hollywood now, the strike for writers may soon be over as their union has reached a tentative deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. But as Elise Preston reports, the ink on the deal is not dry yet.
Hollywood writers walked the picket lines for nearly 5 months before a breakthrough was announced late Sunday. In a joint statement, the WGA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers said they've reached a tentative agreement for a new 3-year contract.
Yet,
Elaine Lowe has been following the strike for the Ankler.
I went out and covered some of the festivities last night. Writers were celebrating at bars all across LA, on the West Side, up in North Hollywood, and they are both relieved and elated about this.
While details of the potential deal are still under wraps, writers were seeking better pay, increased staffing minimums, and protections against artificial intelligence.
I believe that the deal that we're working on right now is incredibly important for the longevity of not just the Writers Guild, but the entire entertainment industry.
Picketing is now suspended, but the Guild warned its 11,000 striking writers not to return to work until the ink on this deal is dry. Leadership votes are set for Tuesday if the language is settled.
We have worked hard, the beat of our feet on the streets, and I think it's really set the tone for other workers in America and other unions.
That includes 160,000 member sister union SAG-AFTRA. Talks between striking actors and the studios have stalled.
So I actually think these next negotiations could be very complex. They may be burnished and given a boost, though, by having an archetype in the WGA contract that could feasibly speed things up.
Perhaps not fast enough, as economic losses from the twin strikes are estimated around $5 billion. Elise Preston, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, let's take a live look outside at San Francisco, where the temperature is 72 degrees. Right there in the distance, you can see one of the tallest buildings in the city, the Trans-America Pyramid. Now, the Hokulea is in the Bay Area as part of its Moana Nui Akea voyage. We're going to have new images for you after this quick short break.
Aloha on this Monday. Even though we are in the heart of hurricane season, we're still very quiet here in the Central Pacific. Even the East Pacific is quiet. And we're going to have great trade winds here for the rest of the weekend. We'll see these kinds of showers, mainly focused on those windward neighborhoods, passing through because of the breezy winds. The leeward sides might get the occasional shower every now and then. And most of the rain will favor the early morning and overnight hours. We're not talking about a lot of rain. And those winds, though, they'll run pretty swift for the rest of the week. What we see today will go largely unchanged every day for the rest of the work week, at least. We'll start out a little damp for windward neighborhoods, drier as the day progresses. High temperatures running into the upper 80s, but those breezy winds will help things from getting too sticky. And because of those breezy winds, we still have a slightly elevated surf and rough and choppy over on east sides. Small waves, otherwise a small pulse is due to the North Shore sometime tomorrow. So we're going to have really nice textbook trade wind weather for the rest of the week. So that means breezy winds running 15 to 20 miles an hour. There will be a few windward and mucus showers, but we're also expecting lots of leeward sunshine with high temperatures running into the upper 80s.
Well, the government is set to run out of money and shut down at midnight on Saturday unless Congress can reach a deal to keep it operating. But fighting amongst House Republicans is making it look likely that at least a partial shutdown is going to happen. Skylar Henry has the details from Capitol Hill.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy sounded frustrated with some of his colleagues who were pushing towards a government shutdown.
Why would they want to stop paying the troops or stop paying the border agents or the Coast Guard? I don't understand how that makes you stronger. I don't understand what point you're trying to make.
But hardline conservative House members say they won't vote for any spending bill, long-term or short-term, without massive spending cuts.
Now, the folks that want to keep their word to their constituents, we're the bad guys. And all we want to do is have responsible government, ma'am. You cannot keep spending, you can't keep spending $7 trillion when you're only taking in $5 trillion.
McCarthy says the House will move forward Tuesday on 4 of the 12 spending bills needed to keep the government running.
Complicating the negotiations, GOP presidential candidates out on the campaign trail weighing in on the fight.
Former President Trump is campaigning in South Carolina. He posted on social media that he thinks the public will blame President Biden if there is a shutdown. So he's advising Republicans, unless you get everything, shut it down.
Funding the government is one of the most basic fundamental responsibilities of Congress. And if Republicans in the House don't start doing their job, we should stop electing them.
The White House says politics could harm millions of Americans who will be impacted by a government shutdown. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Starting today, you can once again order free COVID-19 tests from the federal government. The program was suspended in May. You can get 4 tests per U.S. household by placing an order at covidtests.gov. People without internet service can call 1-800-232-0233. The rapid tests can be taken at home and used regardless of whether someone has symptoms. Some of the dates on the tests may show that they are expired, but the U.S. Food and Drug Administration extended those dates. They should be good throughout the end of the year. The government previously shipped more than 755 million free COVID tests to those who requested them. Now, U.S. COVID hospitalizations have been on the rise since July. The Biden administration says they will continue making tests available to people without insurance through community outreach programs.
Senator Bob Menendez says he plans to stay in office and is running for re-election, even though he and his wife are facing criminal charges. Now, they're accused of conspiracy to commit bribery, fraud, and extortion. And as Astrid Martinez reports, the New Jersey Democrat is under pressure to resign.
Senator Bob Menendez remains defiant in the face of mounting calls from members of his own party for him to step down from Congress.
I firmly believe that when all the facts are presented, not only will I be exonerated, but I still will be the New Jersey's senior senator.
A federal indictment alleges the 3-term Democrat shared highly sensitive information about the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, sought to interfere in criminal prosecutions, and used his power and influence as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in exchange for bribes in the form of cash, some found in a coat with Menendez's name, gold bars, a Mercedes-Benz, and even home mortgage payments.
Senator Menendez allegedly provided sensitive, non-public, U.S. government information to Egyptian officials.
Menendez denies the allegations.
For 30 years, I have withdrawn thousands of dollars in cash from my personal savings account, which I have kept for emergencies and because of the history of my family facing confiscation in Cuba.
New Jersey's Democratic Governor Phil Murphy is among those calling on Menendez to resign. He would appoint a replacement if that happens. Democrats in the Senate accepted his temporary resignation as chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. But with a slim majority, most are not asking him to leave office.
In terms of resignation, that's a decision to be made by Senator Menendez and the people of New Jersey.
Menendez is expected to appear Wednesday in federal court in New York, along with his wife Nadine and 3 other co-defendants. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, Union City, New Jersey.
And new images today from the Bay Area. Hokulea sailed into San Francisco Bay Sunday morning, escorted by the Coast Guard and dozens of outrigger canoes. It was a beautiful sight with about a crowd of 3,000 people welcoming them. A moment of reflection was also held for Maui once the voyaging canoe was moored. California's governor declared yesterday as Moana Nui Akea Welcome Day. Polynesian Voyaging Society CEO and navigator Nainoa Thompson continues to share an urgent message about protecting the Earth's oceans.
All right, well, people are taking laziness to a whole new level at a competition in Southern Europe where slumber is a sport. So Tina Kraus shows us that hitting the snooze button is what it's all about.
A sleepy village in Montenegro has opened its doors to the Lazy Olympics. To compete, all these athletes need is a mattress. I'm simply here for myself, says Jovan, who's taking a break from his job in marketing. I want to prove to myself I'm capable of pushing my limits. His slumbering skills have kept him going, while more than a dozen others have dropped out of the snooze fest that's been running for more than a month. Lilia says, I've been here for 800 hours already. I'll get up when I'm bored, but I'm not sure when that will be. There's a lot riding on this restful race. The winner takes a $1,000 prize. Jordana says she's managing to hold on. As for her husband, who's home with the kids, she says he tells me you're on vacation, stay in bed, and enjoy it. As time ticks away, the rules are simple. No sitting up or standing, and just one 15-minute bathroom break every 8 hours. Lilia says, my brother and parents came to beg me to stop, saying they'll give me the $1,000. But I said there's no chance. I'm staying until the end. In a country with a reputation for being laid back, organizers say the lazy Olympics are the perfect tribute. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
So, Ashley, how long do you think you could last?
Not long at all.
I think I could probably last a couple days and then...
Really?
Yeah, maybe 2. And then I'd be antsy and want to leave. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.